did well too there, but anyway. Coach Smith ready to go for his Monday press availability here on 1240 Joe Radio.
Okay, I'd like to start just acknowledging the tragedy at the University of Virginia. Our thoughts, prayers are with that university, that football program. Just a devastating kind of reminder, unfortunate to put things into perspective. Shifting gears, I also want to recognize Louis Quintana and our cross-country team for a historic performance at regionals, going to nationals, including their first ever region champion, Kaylee Mitchell. Also Terry Boss and our men's soccer team, number 8 overall seed. We hosted a match on Sunday. Congrats to those guys. We'll be cheering both of those programs on as they move forward. Recapping our game, I said it after the game, but again, proud of the group. After digesting this film, talked about it yesterday with our team, this idea, next man up, and being ready to go when called upon. And we had so many examples of that in really all 3 phases. Tyler Morano, Tanner Miller offensively, a couple of linemen, they came in, we didn't miss a beat, did a great job of being ready to go. Obviously, Alex Austin couldn't finish. Ryan Cooper goes outside. We're watching Akili get into the game. Skylar Thomas made a bunch of plays, didn't miss a beat defensively, and we had a bunch on special teams, guys stepping up. Jack Connie goes down, and Jeremiah hadn't played a bunch at all, was ready to go on special teams. Bryce Caulfield, multiple spots. Jaden Robinson on special teams doing some good stuff. Akili Arnold takes over for Coletto on the kick return game, and we almost creased 2 of those. Guys were just ready to go, and I think it spoke to our culture around here that guys are preparing, even if they haven't gotten a ton of playing time, but they've been ready and they were on it throughout the night. And I thought that just showed up on the tape. I really appreciate those guys. And I'm missing a few that got into the game. Offensively, really proud of the second half effort in regards to, we had 4 possessions, 3 of them we get scores, and the 4th one we're taking a knee in the second half to separate the game. It complemented a defensive performance that was really, really good. Those guys flying around, making it difficult, wanted to take away the run game, did that, contested in the secondary. Overall, defensively, big time performance. Going into the game, we thought we could do some things on special teams. Anthony Gould with a huge return. And again, he credited his teammates, and they did. They did a great job blocking for him, separated things. That was a big play. So we got a lot done. Even our punter, he only punts twice. Luke Loescher gets one down to the 4-yard line, and the other one totally changes field position with a perfectly placed punt on the sideline. So there was just a lot to like, and that's good. Cal, say what you want. These guys went down and played toe-to-toe with the Trojans until the last 2 minutes. The Trojans had to get a first down to end the thing, and so for us to play a complete game like that, was really pleased with it. Crowd helped again. I know our guys love playing at home, but the crowd helps a ton. Every night, every day we play at home, our fans make a huge, huge difference. And obviously we get one more opportunity in a couple of weeks for that. Moving forward, I think Arizona State is a dangerous team. These guys got some talent. Obviously they've had some transitions throughout the year, and they've had the injury bug just like all of us. But I watched that second half against Washington State. They're not going away. They got down at halftime. They did not go away. That thing could have been totally different. They played for 4 quarters. So we expect seeing the same thing for them on senior day. And it's always tough going down there to Arizona, especially late in the year. It's always tough to play down there. And so we got to prepare well to do that. Last piece, I think I'm probably going to get asked about a few of these guys. And so I thought I'd just kind of rattle off some updates on people. Trey Lowe did play in a limited fashion, got in the game. We're hoping to add to his role this next week. Deshaun Fenwick, we felt like a weekend off, gives him the potential to return. We'll see how he looks into this week. John McCartan was close to being able to play, couldn't do it. We're all optimistic that this weekend he'd be back. Jam Griffin left the game. We'll see how he looks toward the end of the week, but not ready to call him out yet. Same with Jack Coletto, left the game last week. We'll see how the week progresses for him and make a call toward the end of the week. Tolley and Henley will be in the same boat, lower extremity kind of injury, but not season ending. We'll see how they look at the end of the week. Same with Alex Austin. See how he looks at the end of the week. He'd been battling actually for a couple of weeks. That guy is tough. continues to practice and go, and it flared up on him during the game. We'll see. Jaden Grant's gonna be in the same boat there in regards to the end of the week. Josiah Irish, we feel confident he'll be back. I know he left during the game there, but we feel confident that he'll be back and around it. And I bring that up just to say, one, I was gonna get asked, but also it's the end of the year. We are not the only program dealing with that. I mean, shoot, we're playing Arizona State. They've had a bunch. I look across this league. Unfortunate part of the game, it's a physical game, and you know, no one's playing with their full roster at the end of the year. So with that, questions?
So nobody, excuse me, out of all those guys, you feel like you can say right now they're definitely not going to play Saturday. Out of all those guys, everybody is still.
Yeah, currently there's still some guys. We're getting some information back today and tomorrow, but currently we can't say anyone is out.
So it's obviously next man up in your locker room. That's what you're selling your guys, and they're believing that. To the fan base though, do all they really need to do is see what happened in the Cal game to know that, you know, things are gonna be okay even if a lot of these guys don't play Saturday?
Well, yeah, I think we're gonna be competitive with we got plenty of guys to line up with. Yeah, there's been starters in week one that, you know, earned those spots, but guys continue to progress, get better throughout the year, and they seize on an opportunity. So yeah, I'm confident that we're having a great opportunity to play with quality football guys this coming Saturday.
One thing that was missing from your opening statement here was that you haven't said all season long is we got stuff to clean up. I'm gonna take that to mean the Cal game might have been your best performance of the year.
That was a good win. All the wins are good. There's definitely things to clean up. We missed there. We gotta be able to exchange the ball with the running back from the quarterback on and not give them 7 points. I mean, there's stuff to clean up, but I feel that performance, where we were headed, coming off a tough loss, a team that was their back against the wall, played really well the previous week, to really have a complete game like that, I was proud of it.
Given the running back situation with Fenwick and Jam, does Isaiah Newell get quite a bit more work and practice this week as potentially your backup?
Yeah, he gets more work. I mean, he has a couple nice carries. I mean, shoot, he's an inch from being able to put the ball in the end zone and score. Cano and Shannon got a couple carries, made it physical, converted first down. So those guys have gotten work. They'll get more, and we're confident if they're called upon, they'll produce.
Did you feel like Saturday was Ben's best performance of the 5 starts he's had so far?
It was pretty good. Again, what we're asking him to do, he made some plays, took care of the ball, moved in the pocket, maybe a little bit more than he had shown. I mean, we got a big drop on him too that adds to his stats for a touchdown. So yeah, I think the guy continues to get better and better, and he played good on Saturday.
Clearly the Washington loss didn't sap any motivation or anything in the locker room. How did you see maybe your veteran guys and your captains step up throughout the week to get guys to bounce back after that?
Similar like they've done each week, going back to work. These guys are motivated to play. You know, they still got special things in front of them, when, you know, trying to win as many games as we can. I thought it didn't look totally different during the week on how they prepared and went to work, because they've been doing it week in and week out.
And looking at ASU, this is now the second interim staff that you've prepared for this year. Does it make it any more difficult to scout opponents when, you know, they might pull a rabbit out of their hat and, you know, you don't entirely know what they're going to do?
Yeah, you can chase a lot of ghosts. You know, they've got a body of work now, because I think the interim coach has been there a few weeks. Again, you got to prepare for anything and adjust during the game for anything. Again, they started throwing the ball a little bit more the last few weeks. I know the quarterback went down last week, and we got to prepare for 2 guys there. Defensively, again, they got some athletes, a good scheme. Played really good on defense in the second half last week when the game was close to out of hand, and they kept on battling. So it's going to be a challenge, and prepared for all of it.
On injuries, especially in this week's scenario of what you described as perhaps coming down to much later in the week, how does that work? Does the player tell you, I'm good to go? Or is it a trainer that says they want to go but they can't? Is it a combination of both?
It's a combination, but ultimately you'd love it if it's just the player, like, I'm good. No question, the trainers are heavily involved, and those guys are doing a good job. Open lines of communication, see how they work. Again, we're never going to put a guy at risk. And ultimately, we've got other options to put in the game if the guy's not full speed, which goes to the depth of this roster.
I asked you last week how much film you watch when you get to this late in the season. Obviously, ASU's gone through a coaching change. What have you noticed differently from the first staff to the second staff, and do you really take what the first staff did, knowing obviously, again, you got a totally different
Right.
guy?
You know, I do think they have to throw it a little bit more, and again, maybe there's reasons for that, the way the games have been going. It's not drastically a brand new scheme on one side of the ball. They've got some good players. I mean, their kicker can kick it out in the end zone. They got athletes that are gonna get drafted here, on really both sides. I think the quarterback gave them a little new life, but the other one came in last week and played pretty good in the second half, so not drastic scheme changes. We go back and stick to our process. We're gonna look at the last 4 or 5 pretty heavy, but we'll watch every game.
Are injuries that affect the special teams units kind of especially tricky to deal with in game? Just, I mean, realistically, how much time would you possibly
Right.
have to go multiple guys deep in practice?
Yeah, it's really tricky because you get a few, you only get a couple, you got ones and twos more or less that get reps throughout the week, and then you get multiple guys that can't finish a game, guys move in different positions. Coach Cook is the culture on teams, everyone's buy-in. That's why I credit this group, because we were effective on special teams, but a bunch of guys that hadn't gotten a lot of reps, some guys that hadn't even gotten reps at that particular position were coaching it up in between series, and those guys were all in on it. Did a good job.
You haven't had a lot of early kickoffs this year. I think it's been only the second one you've had early. No coincidence, the Utah one was kind of a slow start. Do you look at that at all, see how you approach that, and is there anything you might change up a little bit in the run up to that game? Or?
You know, we'll be pretty typical of our, especially around here, our work is done. I think guys are excited to play earlier. We practiced earlier. I think they're excited about on grass. Weather's assuming it's gonna be decent. And they'll be, you know, excited, ready to go, but we're not gonna make some drastic changes.
In regards to the situation in Virginia, do you typically get calls from parents and things like that, just asking if, you know, the safety stuff and all that, when stuff like this happens?
There's always open line of communication with the parents on the team, and so concerns and whatnot. We would definitely return those calls, field those calls, and again, we communicate with parents throughout the season. Obviously, it's a devastating tragedy.
Yeah. Trelo, on Saturday, did he always, when he went out, was he always at receiver position?
I don't give away all the scheme, you know?
It's not like Arizona State's so much of the film, they don't realize that.
No, his primary role in this particular game was gonna be doing some more on the receiving end. We're hopeful that he'll get a few carries.
That's what is the next step to get him in the backfield.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy that seems best suited to catch the ball out of the backfield of the team, and so that's something you haven't really done a lot of this season, really.
Yeah, I mean, he can catch it, he runs the routes. I mean, Damian had a nice catch in the red zone, throwing it out of the backfield, but we wanna expand Trey's, his role moving forward.
Coach, a couple of special teams plays. Tyjon Lindsey getting the ball down the way he did was
Yeah.
impressive, wasn't it?
No question, and we mentioned it yesterday, it's almost like we don't even take notice as Tyjon and Josiah Irish, what they do for us on teams in multiple units have been huge all year. And that's why I appreciate, we got 2 receivers that, you know, they came here to catch the ball, and they're all in on teams making plays. Tyjon's tackling, downs the ball again, it was a good punt. Irish has been steady Eddie making plays on kickoff the whole year, blowing things up, and we're getting a lot out of the receiver. Micaiah Tongue on kickoff, flying down the whole year. So it's nice to see, and again, I go back to this player-led culture we got. These guys are in on any way they can affect the game.
And it looked like this isn't special teams. I do have one on that, but the toss sweep touchdown to Jam at the other end down there, the blocking on that, the second effort, but Micaiah Tongue blew a guy up, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of guys who don't always get reps were big on that.
Yeah, and you know, you don't get as much attention for blocking as you do for catching it. That's why we're back to this culture. These guys doing anything they can to help us. And Micaiah on the edge, Overman's out there pulling, the tight end position's not getting a ton of balls, and they're blocking out there. Jam makes a good run, he makes a guy miss, and really kind of spins his way into the end zone. It was a good play.
And was there a key block or two that sprung Anthony on the punt return?
Multiple. He makes the first guy miss, but then when guys finishing, Coach Cook does a great job talking about how long a punt return, the expanded time of that play. It's like 8-9 seconds sometimes, and so those guys finishing. Kate Brown holds getting on it. Even Irish, and again, Tyjon setting it up for Anthony to catch it because they're blocking the gunner, so multiple guys.
We saw Tristan on Saturday. How did he feel afterward? And is there, room for him to, based on what you saw and how he feels, maybe get some more reps?
Yeah, he looked good. He's been one of my favorites on this team. He's talking about selfless because he is healthy. He's thrown it as good as I've seen him do it around here. Obviously it was a minimal amount of time, but came in and executed, threw a couple balls in the right spots, converting, and he's totally ready to go. And so if we need him, or if he's called upon, he'll be ready.
Everybody good? Yeah, thanks, Coach.